Welcome to Velocity, the Vista Chamber podcast. I'm your host, Chamber CEO Rachel Beld, and it's my privilege to interview the movers, shakers, and changemakers impacting our amazing Vista community and beyond. Today on the show, we're joined by Luis Jr. Lopez, a local entrepreneur and restaurateur. Jr. grew up right here in North San Diego County and has built a career in the restaurant industry, carrying forward both family tradition and his own vision for creating community spaces. From his early experiences in the kitchen to opening well-loved restaurants in Oceanside and Vista, Jr. has been shaped by his roots and his passion for hospitality. I'm excited to have him here to share his story, his inspiration, and what continues to drive him today. He's the owner-operator of 7 Seas, the newest hotspot on Main Street. Welcome, Jr.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's good to be here.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time away from the restaurant and to pop over and sit down with me. So, I want to ask you, to get us started, tell me a little bit about what it was like growing up in North County and how that kind of shaped who you are today.
Oh man, I'm incredibly spoiled. My parents raised me in Encinitas and Cardiff. I went to Cardiff Elementary, which was really cool, and grew up just in basically like a little 4-block route of Cardiff and Encinitas. I went to San Diego High School, and my father was the executive chef of a restaurant down in Cardiff called the Beach House.
Oh, yes.
Which is no longer there, which was a bittersweet moment for our family. But I grew up in that restaurant, and it was so cool. Growing up in a restaurant industry, it was just, it was magic. I kind of grew up pretty fast, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Good responsibility.
Yeah, I was kind of forced to mature relatively quickly. But being a very shy kid, it really kind of exposed me and cracked that shell a little quicker than I think expected or anybody expected. And it was a really cool time. After graduating high school, I moved up to Santa Barbara, and I graduated from UC Santa Barbara in 2007. And that was just what an amazing experience, and I met some of my closest and best friends up there in college, and that we are still really tight with. And it's just been a really cool full circle thing to come back home and stay in the restaurant industry, even though I didn't graduate in that. I graduated in geography, which is kind of funny. I wanted to do like ArcGIS systems and kind of how they built Google Maps and things like that. And moved home, and my dad came home and he goes, "You know what, son, I don't really want to work for anyone anymore. Do you want to open a restaurant?" And I was like, "Yeah, Dad, let's do it." "Where?" Like, "I don't know." And one of my friends that had graduated from Santa Barbara 2 years prior moved down here. His name's Isaac Little. He's a good friend of mine, and he started working commercial real estate.
I know him. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And Isaac's a big part of Vista, and he grew up here in Vista, and he's actually the owner of the building that we rent 7 Seas from, which is really cool. But Isaac found this little cute spot into Oceanside Harbor that we called the Lighthouse, and we built that in 2010. And it was just the coolest, most fun experience to be able to work with my mom and dad every single day.
What's your mom's role in the restaurant?
So mom, she manages. She oversees the front of the house. And thankfully, we've got an amazing GM who was the general manager at the Beach House. Mm-hmm. His name's Tris Buto, who is also like a mentor to me, and he's our GM at Lighthouse, and he has been for the last 5 years or so. And it's been pretty cool. So Mama Bear kind of just cruises, I guess. My dad used to give me a hard time because I think my overall goal as a son was to make sure that my parents didn't work hard. Mm-hmm. So when I would get to work and Mom would be there, I'd be like, "Mom, get out of here. Like, I got this. Like, don't worry about it." Mm-hmm. And my dad had to kind of pull me aside and be like, "Hey, dude, what do you want her to do? Like, you want her to just go home and hang out by herself?" Or like, I never really looked at it that way. Mm-hmm. He's like, "Why don't you just let her do whatever she wants?" And,
she can have purpose and impact here.
And I was like, "You know what, Dad, my bad. I looked at it as work, but I guess in hindsight, it's not work because it's what they love to do."
Sure.
And so it was a really cool learning experience for me to be able to take a step back and really look at a big picture, not just a little one.
Yeah.
And it opened my eyes to a lot of things, which I really appreciate. And yeah, mom's still there, and dad too. They're powerhouses, and I'm 41 years old. I can't keep up with them.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it. I really don't.
Yeah, that sounds tired. As we were talking before we started recording about just we're tired.
We're tired. Yeah.
It's time for a nap.
I get tired. Yeah. And I think that's where I do feel like it's my role as not only their son, but as the business manager is I try to deal with the problems, and let them try to just enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think that is a little bit more taxing on our brain, And I try to tell people like, dude, manual labor I could do all day, but the brain labor, like really putting out fires and
solving
being
problems,
the problem solver and all that is what really makes me tired. And like, it's hard.
It's a different kind of work for sure. For sure. Well, you mentioned Lighthouse and it's been open now 15 years. So what is it that you think, 15 years in the restaurant industry is a lifetime. And so what is it about Lighthouse that has helped it become such a staple in Oceanside? What's special about it?
I think first and foremost, it's the community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's for sure it. I mean, you go to Lighthouse on any given day, you're going to see the same people. And it's pretty cool because we try to treat it, I try to tell our staff to treat it like a country club.
Mm-hmm.
And those members, those regulars, really go above and beyond and take care of them. When, Mark and Maria come in, that he's going to have an iced tea and she's going to have a lemon or a water with a lemon and a lime.
Mm-hmm.
Just bring it straight out, and they feel so special and they are so special to us. And they're there 4 or 5 times a week, and it's that is what we really kind of, the vision and the building behind it. That's what we really wanted to create was something for the community. The view is spectacular. Okay. So,
that helps.
That really helps, and to be fair, I think that you could put anything into that building and it will probably succeed, but it won't have the charm that the Lighthouse brings to the community. And I think that's what's made us, be consistently good and stay alive through COVID and through all these different challenges, recessions and this and that. It's hard, but our community has backed us up, and that's why we've been there for 15 years. And it's been truly something special. 2010 doesn't seem like that long ago, which you and I are talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a lifetime in the restaurant industry, but Oceanside was really different.
Very different.
Like, I grew up in Encinitas and I wasn't allowed to go to Oceanside. We my parents would let me go to Rosarito, which nowadays is a flip-flop.
It's a flip,
right?
Yeah.
But I wasn't allowed to go to Oceanside like by myself. Like, yeah, right, get out of here. And 2010, I saw a taste of that. It was still kind of gritty. Still, there's some cool, crazy activity going around town, and it's cleaned up. And I definitely understand where us being there since 2010 and feel like a front runner for new businesses and the growth of Oceanside. I also see like the charm and the quiet, sleepy little town that's gone away. I see both sides of the community where it's like some people are really stoked on it and others like, dude, I want my sleepy little town back. Which has happened to me twice in my life because that happened to Cardiff.
Yeah.
Growing up in Cardiff, like it was so little and so small and we could do anything we kind of wanted.
It was like a neighborhood, essentially. Right. Totally. Just like a big neighborhood. Mm-hmm.
And in a weird way, it was really nice because my dad knew everybody. So I couldn't really get in trouble because he'd find out, but also like that kind of saved me through my childhood, right?
Yeah.
Make good decisions and because you're going to get caught. And that small town vibe was really cool. Oceanside was that small town vibe, but in a weird, sketchy kind of way in 2010. And I think that's why the location there was vacant. Our location at Lighthouse was vacant for 1.5 years because nobody wanted to put, maybe A, the money, but B, take the risk of what could happen. And I'm very thankful that we did because it's changed our lives and it's really cool to be part of that community.
That's so cool.
Yeah, huge fan.
So what made you take the leap? You have a successful restaurant, you're doing great, mom and dad are there, everybody's working hard, making things happen, and then Vista. How did Vista come into your view?
Yeah. Well, I think that was one of the few things that COVID did good for me.
Okay.
Which I got COVID and here's the deal. I'm going to be very honest with you and blunt. My parents, again, I'm very spoiled, right? I grew up in paradise. And then they sent me off to school in front of the ocean. Like, I mean,
in Santa Barbara.
In Santa Barbara,
yeah.
like boo-hoo, what a hard life. But they did teach me to work, right? And And to be very honest with you, I've been incredibly thankful for my parents. They've done everything for me. And now that I'm a father, in 2019, my wife and I had our baby, Mia. And I got COVID in 2020, at the end of 2020. And thankfully I didn't get sick, but I did have the symptoms, and I was like, oh my gosh, newborn baby, like we don't know what to do. My wife made me sleep in the downstairs bedroom for 10 days, which was wild. And it gave me a time to kind of like think, and kind of meditate towards like, okay, mom and dad have done everything right for me. And here I am with my little seed now. I need to be better, and living off mom and dad in our restaurant, been great. But what am I going to do for my daughter? And that kind of motivated me to really start thinking of other things. And I started a little seasoning company that I named after my dad. It's called Papa Louie's, and we do sauces and seasonings. And then one of my best friends and I started a wine company that we call WLC, and we sell wines, and it's pretty fun and whatnot. But then it's like, this isn't enough for Mia. I've got to build something else, and I've got to do something that I love. And what is that? The restaurant industry. So I really started thinking about it back in like 2022, and started working on this idea of the 7 C's, and watching it come to life has been really fun, but at the end of the day, the motivation was my kid. To be able to have and build something that'll hopefully be as successful as the Lighthouse, that in 15 years, when she's 25, she can be like, that's my place that my dad did for me, just as my parents are saying about the Lighthouse for their son.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's motivating. I love that. Yeah, it's fun.
Where did the name 7 C's come from?
I've got to be honest with you. I'm not sure. And I hate to say it, but I think it was just a couple beers and talking to dad. We've got this very nautical thing.
Yeah. We were serving seafood.
Right.
So there's that.
And I've always been around seafood my entire life, right? My father being the executive chef of the beach house, which is all seafood. I've got this thing for the helms, which is the ship's wheel.
Yeah.
And 7 C's, I guess in hindsight, was more about the menu. We wanted to create a restaurant that wasn't the same as Lighthouse, because we're only 2 clicks away. But we wanted to create a menu that kind of took you through the different seas of the world, right? And the different types of food that the world has to offer. And I didn't want to be tied to like a Mexican fusion or a Hawaiian fusion restaurant. I wanted to be able to play with something from Thailand and something from the Mediterranean, and an Italian dish and an American dish and a South American dish. So thinking through that, I was like, oh my gosh, like it's brilliant. Like you're going through the 7 C's of the world. And I was like, being 7 C's,
Well, it kind of ties back to your geography degree.
Yeah, too, right? Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Like there is a thread that weaves through life, right? And so that makes sense. That connects back to geography a little bit.
Yeah, and like I guess I've been blessed enough to be able to travel, and I've learned, my parents have taught me that you learn culture through food. So eating and traveling throughout the world has been really, really special. And that's really what I wanted to bring, was all of my favorite items that I've gotten to try and put them under one roof for our community to be able to experience something that I've gotten to experience in my life. And it's been pretty cool. My executive chef, Paul Renato, is an awesome, awesome dude. I love the guy. We used to work together back in 2007 at the Crossings in Carlsbad. And for whatever reason, the stars realigned a year ago. And he was like, dude, what have you been up to? And I was like, yo, we're going to open this restaurant, seafood. And he's looking at me and he's like, no way. Like, I'd love to be a part of this. I'm like, bro, let's do that. That's why I'm here to talk to you,
Yeah.
And it was just it's a pretty cool full circle experience to have Paul leading the kitchen and the culinary team there at 7 C's and making my vision come true. He's done a great job. And he too is an experienced traveler. He's Italian and Polish, and he's from Virginia, and he's from Chesapeake Bay, and our 2 minds working together has been really, really fun. Really,
is he
really
responsible for the biscuits?
He is responsible for the biscuits.
Good.
Yeah,
They're so good. They're so good. I mean, and other things too, but I just when you said the Chesapeake Bay, I was like, "Oh, that's where the biscuit come
And that's
from."
exactly
Yeah.
his thing, you
Yeah.
know? And I think that it was his way of kind of firing back at like the Red Lobster biscuit and like
Yeah.
my biscuit's better. And
It's
it
way
is.
better.
It is. And it was really fun to watch him because you got to understand when you open a restaurant, you know, you can sit there and talk about it and plan about it as much as you want, but up until you hire your staff, turn the grills on and get things really moving, it happens really fast. And, you know, he hired a staff of call it 18 for a pretty big kitchen I built, and watching him mess and his team mess with the biscuit recipe over and over because he'd be happy one day and then the next day like, no, you know what, I didn't like it, and like it took a
Yeah.
couple weeks, and it was just, for me, it was a cool experience watching him create his own magic, and finally land on his biscuit recipe that everybody loves. They're really, really good,
They're really
and
good.
they're made daily. You know,
That's
it's not
great.
something that we like that we just buy frozen and throw it in an oven and call it a day. Like these things are made from scratch every single morning, and it's cool. You can really taste the love in them that he puts.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned the love because when I think about food and when you travel and when someone cooks for you, that's to me is the ultimate gift. Cooking for someone and having breaking bread with someone, sitting down, sharing a table, and experiencing culture and family and all of that. It comes through food.
100.
And so I love to hear the inspiration behind the restaurant, and it's inspired by these places where you have experienced love through food. And also this kind of the connection between geography and navigating and finding your way. And really, your home was built from food, and now you're home again with food. So I love a full circle moment.
Yeah, totally. And it's
Yeah.
so much fun.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. And I tell all my friends and family and even strangers, you know, that I invite to the restaurant, like, yo, if you're in need, come by, dude, because you're not going to die hungry with me.
No.
You know, like you're not. Like
Yeah.
we're gonna eat, you know, and COVID was a big a really cool test to that conversation piece is like we had to lay people off
Yeah.
at the lighthouse, and it was really scary, you know, and I think that us as a family, we knew that we were going to be fine for the moment, but what about our staff? Like,
Yeah.
so we kept a lot of them on and paid them through the first couple months of COVID, where everybody was starting to close and like, you know,
Mhm.
shelter in place, and we took the staff that couldn't collect unemployment or you know had big families where the unemployment ain't gonna help, you
Yeah.
know. And we're like, hey, you know what? We're gonna pay you. Let's paint. Let's deep clean. Let's redo the floors.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can do, because that love isn't just myself, you know, and my chef. It's the entire staff. And it was a pretty cool, pretty crazy but cool time to really unify our family.
Yeah.
You know, and by family I mean like the staff included. You know,
Mhm.
mom and dad and I. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
You know, COVID was that time period was so hard for so many reasons, but also there was a lot of really good things that came from it. For example, you talked about when you got sick and you were quarantined from your family, and we did the downstairs guest room quarantine in our house too. But you know, pausing as a business owner and entrepreneur and taking a moment to pause to have a minute to create and to dream a little bit is very rare. I mean, we're talking before about how busy life gets and how it's like one thing, then the next, then the next, then the next. When do you have time to stop and dream normally? And so I know, like for the chamber, that was a time we had all these events that we couldn't do. We had our main bread and butter was getting people together, and we
Right.
couldn't do that. And so what were we going to do? And so we started dreaming and thinking and came up with new ideas and new things that we could do, right? And that's the thing. So I think it's a really wise thing to take opportunity during hardship and realize, okay, well, I can't do what I thought I was doing. So what what's out there? What can I dream of?
100%.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And you know, like I think that the term risk is scary,
Yeah.
but if you don't risk, if you don't try, you're always just going to talk about it like, oh, I wish I did that.
Yeah.
I should
Regrets.
have done that. Yeah. And a regret is way worse than a risk, you
Absolutely.
know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I told my wife like, hey, dude, we're going to give it a shot, man. Cause I don't want it to haunt me later in life
Yeah.
that I didn't try. You know, if I tried and maybe it failed, all good. I gave it a shot, but at least I'll have something else, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
But but even in this situation with a risk, you have, a broker that you have a relationship with. You have the backbone of the restaurant industry. You understand front of the house and back of the house. You have a feeling for what tastes good and what people will eat and what they'll pay for it. And so all of those pieces together make a puzzle that you have a pretty good shot of doing
totally.
well.
Yeah.
And you're in Vista in a community where this is a brand new concept. I want you to talk a little bit for folks who haven't been yet. They need to get there. But tell everybody a little bit, like, what's different about Seven Seas? I mean, you talked about the menu and going different places, but like the vibe, the experience. Tell me about that, the
Totally.
drinks and all the
Yeah.
things.
And, I think that was one of the biggest key aspects was the vibe.
Yeah.
And
Vibe check.
I was telling
Yeah.
Allie, our GM, she's a sweet friend of mine, and she's doing such an amazing job running Seven Seas with Paul and Carol Ann, our bar manager, and Lindsay, who's just like a local celebrity. She's like the undisclosed mayor. We've got this amazing staff that Allie hired, but I kept embedding in her head over and over and over leading up to hiring stuff like the vibe's got to be right. We want it to feel warm. I don't want it to feel like you're in a concrete box, like the lighting's got to be this, the reggae's got to be on or whatever, like the music and it was all about that vibe that we were really trying to create. And I think we nailed it,
Yeah.
I really do. I think that when you walk into Seven Seas, you know that you are in like a commercial space, right? A restaurant, but there's like an at-home feeling, and
the indoor outdoor feel, like you're in and you're out. You could be on the patio, but even when you're inside, it still feels outside. So that's kind
totally.
of a cool feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Opening those windows,
Yeah.
that slide open are really, really cool. So we opened at a really strange time because we opened the weekend of Mother's Day, which if you ask anybody in the restaurant
Don't do
industry,
that.
that is psychotic.
Yeah.
But we did it,
Yeah.
and then leading through the summer, we didn't really know what to expect. As I did research in Vista, and I poked my head around and asked a lot of people, like a lot of them told me that summer is relatively mellow compared to fall and spring because a lot of people are on vacation or they go to the coast, right? And that's when we're in our peak season at the lighthouse. So I was very thankful for that because I was like, oh, that's going to be perfect for my life. I can still focus on lighthouse, yet build and try to create something at Seven Seas. What you get at Seven Seas is pretty cool. And the reason why it's different is that we are a seafood restaurant, which there are plenty in Vista. Yet ours is a little bit different in a sense that we have a fresh fish market inside as well. We offer a grab and go section for the wineries and the breweries here in town. And then we're really community driven. And what I mean by that is that, our beer program is all done through local breweries here in Vista. They're exclusive beers that are made for the restaurant. We're not a brewery, but all of our beers are named after Seven Seas nautical terms that we partner with Breakwater Brewery, Prohibition, Roadie's, a new brewery here in town.
Mm-hmm.
They all make killer beers, and the fact that they're making special ones for us is really, really cool, But yeah, you've got a full bar at Seven Seas, which is fun because Lighthouse is only beer and wine, so that's a little bit different for our family. But you definitely get a sense of local Vista employees working for a local Vista business for the Vista community, and that's kind of been my whole chant is that we're here for the community, and service is everything to me. We've got a ton of regulars like Zeke,
Mm-hmm.
I love Zeke, Will Burton are in there, Joe Green, Jeff Fox is in there all the time. It's like, it's like what took Lighthouse years to create has taken Seven Seas months.
Mm-hmm.
We just celebrated our 4th month and it feels like we've been there for a year.
Only 4 months?
4 months.
It does feel like you've been there longer, but you're right. You did open in May just before
May
Strawberry
9.
Festival.
Yeah,
So yeah.
right before,
Yeah.
and it feels like we've been there for so long. And there's a unfortunate part about hiring a lot of staff and having to dwindle that down accordingly. But the staff that we have right now is just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really, really cool. And you can sense the vibe
Yeah.
that they all have as like a little family and a little vibe tribe, like
Yeah.
they all work so well together. And for me to sit back in a corner and just watch them flow, it seems like they've been working together for eons. And they haven't,
Yeah.
so that's pretty cool. It's really nice to see that in comparison to the Lighthouse where it took a little bit to figure it out,
Yeah.
we're figuring it out pretty fast over here, and I'm very proud of that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I know we're super happy to have you in Vista, and just to have such a cool spot right on Main Street. I think it's nice to have the full bar too. Not every restaurant has that, and we have such a great beer and wine scene here in Vista, and also with the distilled spirits. It's great. Um, I wanted to ask you, you've had 2 successful restaurants so far. How do you see the restaurant industry in North County specifically kind of evolving? We were talking before we started recording a little bit about how time is on fast forward and things are changing so quickly. What do you see impacts for the restaurant industry? Any
Well,
ideas?
I mean, to be really fair with you, a lot of people talk about gentrification and
Yeah.
growing these communities, in crazy levels and whatnot. And there's pros and cons to all that,
Yeah.
right? But in the restaurant industry, for every, it sucks because for every 3 or 4 restaurants to open, 2 or 3 close.
Right.
And I think in my standpoint is be better, right? Don't be one of those. And not saying that, some restaurants that closed aren't because they weren't any good. 3 of my favorite restaurants just recently closed. And they were killer. It was just a change of time.
Yeah.
It wasn't because they weren't successful. And shout out to my guys at Ty's Burger House in Oceanside, because I'm dearly going to miss that place. One of my favorite burgers. But at the same time too, right? You get 2 or 3 new burger restaurants 400 feet away, and it's like, what are they supposed to do?
Yeah.
They had the community back for sure. The community backed them more. But like I said, I think the restaurant industry is ever changing as is anything. You got to use the concept of a downtown, where a lot of the restaurants down there are owned by the same people, but every 4 years they change their concept because they have to, and maybe it's time for some of us to think that way. I think something like Lighthouse is a great example where we've been there 15 years. We're classic. I want to change some things, but mom and dad are like, dude, it works. Don't
Right.
break if it doesn't, if it's not broken. And I do get that. I do understand that. But I think at some point in time, there's going to need to be a little spruce of something,
Yeah.
And you just really got to pay attention to what's happening around you. Demographic is everything.
Well, and that's the case, I think, in any business industry. Who are your customers? Where are they coming from? What do they want? And evolving with them is
Right.
important. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And it's been pretty cool. But yeah, I think the restaurant industry is going to be just fine. AI and, Chat GPT and all these cool
robots delivering your
robots.
food and things like that.
I
Yeah.
think that's cool, but I don't see that really
It's a novelty.
exactly.
Yeah.
It really is. And I mean, I get so upset with technology when it can't keep up with my brain, and or you get
Yeah.
the little wheel of death on your computer, or your phone glitches, or the robot just blanks out and you're like, dude, get me a
Give me a human.
being.
Yeah.
Get me a human
Yeah.
being. So yeah, I think that the future for me is to open more restaurants, and I don't ever see myself going towards that kind of AI, robotic, systematic thing. I think let the personality shine.
Yeah.
That speaks way higher than maybe the volume that a robot can do. But yeah, the restaurant industry is cool. It's fun. I really love it, and I love seeing where our North County is going. We're a thing, and the young ladies at the Visit Oceanside are running these cool yearly things called the Swell Season, which is really fun for North County, San Diego, because their main focus is to get this coalition of chefs and restaurant owners and create menu options in the slow time to drive those LA and Orange County foodies down here.
Oh,
Because
cool.
we've got that.
Yeah,
we've
we
got,
do.
we've got amazing restaurants. We've got Michelin star restaurants in Oceanside and Vista and North County. That, bring it on.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, bring it on.
Yeah.
We've got some incredible talent here. And it's a cool thing. It's really, really cool. I love where we're headed, and I definitely am really excited to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're part of it too.
Yeah. I'm super stoked.
Well, as we wrap up our conversation today, I have a couple of rapid fire questions that I ask every guest.
Like it.
So if you wouldn't mind telling me, what is a book you recommend?
Oh, man. Well, I'm going to be very honest. I'm a child book reader right now.
Absolutely.
Right? My
That's
daughter's
great.
in love with this cute little book called Escargot, and it's about a French snail
How cute.
and his search for spring. And it's just the cutest little thing. We read it all the time. So yeah, the kids' books for me is it's where my life is right now.
I get it.
Growing up, I was a huge Hunter S. Thompson fan. So like Where the Buffalo Roam and, like Fear and Loathing and all those
Yes.
books were just really cool to pass time. But I'm truly not a big reader.
Yeah. Well, when you're a parent, especially with a kindergartner, it's all about reading those kids' books. And sometimes they're really, really poignant and touching and good.
They're so good.
Yeah.
And like there's these little Pete the Cat books that we like to
Yes.
read. And like I sit there reading it as an adult, like, wait a minute, dude, is this really the mess? Like what? There's two tales to the, to the whole story.
Yeah.
And like there's the adult version brain and then the little kid one. And
Yeah.
the kids' books has been really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I
It's
love
pretty
that.
cool. Yeah.
All right. What's your jam, Junior? What's a song you love?
Oh man. I got to work in the music industry for a little while, right out of college. And I guess I'm a big kind of reggae rock fan.
Okay.
Some of my friends, which I'm so proud of, are just crushing the scene. Bands like Iration, Pepper, and Revolution. And I guess to me, I don't have one favorite song,
Okay.
but I have a favorite genre. And,
Okay.
that would probably be it. And when you walk into any of our restaurants or the markets, 99% of the time, predominantly, that's what's on.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's your influence.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty
I love
cool.
that. Okay. What is something that inspires you?
My daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, without a doubt. My wife.
Mia.
Yeah, little Mia. She goes by Sumi. Yeah, my daughter is like, without a doubt, and my wife are my biggest motivators. Like you and I were talking before we got on. You wanna spoil them,
Mm-hmm.
and that, I think that's just been my only fear is like, how spoiled do you want to get, right?
Mhm.
Without teaching the work ethic behind it and the gratitude. But yeah, she and Morgan, my wife, are without a doubt my biggest inspirations and my biggest motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
great.
Yeah. It's fun.
I love that.
It's fun.
All right. Last question. Tell me a Vista business that deserves a shout out.
Holy smokes. I mean, to be really honest with you, all of them.
Mhm.
And I truly mean that. I mean, you yourself, right? You deserve a shout out. Like
Aw,
you don't have
thank
to, you don't have
Aw.
to do these things. You've got so much on your plate and so many things going on in your life, yet you take time to sit here to focus on someone like myself. Like that deserves a shout out.
You're
Like,
going to make me cry.
No. My boy Zeke, I don't know if he's still back there behind the curtain, but Zeke, like he too is like a little undisclosed mayor, right?
He's awesome.
Brian at the Bungalow, like, oh my God, like he's one of our biggest advocates, Ralph at Belching Beaver, like there are just so many, the Handels crew, like everybody here in this town is so cool
Mm-hmm.
and so fun. I don't think there's one business that I could be like, oh, that one deserves a shout out. It's really Downtown Vista that
Yeah.
deserves a shout out. And even individuals like Joe Green, like who just announced his mayor run for next year, and like he's at Seven Seas all the time.
Yeah.
And he's not sitting there advocating like, vote for me for mayor. He's like truly enjoying himself.
Yeah.
with
And
his
how can I
wife.
help you? And what can I do?
100%.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think that all of those people deserve the shout out, because they're the reason why we're successful right now. All of you are, and in such a short period of time, and I'm very grateful for it. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really, really fun. So thank you.
I want to thank our guest today, Junior from Seven Seas, for joining me on Velocity, the Vista Chamber podcast. If you like what you heard, subscribe and tell a friend. Help us move Vista forward with velocity. The Vista Chamber of Commerce is a nonprofit organization that serves as a catalyst for business growth. Find us online at vistachamber.org.